Welcome everyone. Enterprise Ireland are delighted you can join us today for our UK pharmaceutical sector overview, which is part of our Evolve UK series of webinars. My name is Laura Brocklebank and I am the Senior Market Advisor for UK Pharma Manufacturing, and I'm based in our new Manchester office, which we opened last year. We're joined today by Heike Owen from Shibumi Consulting, who will present a summary of findings from the report which we commissioned in December 2019. Thanks for joining us today, Heike.
Thank you.
Thanks, Heike. Just before we start, the webinar will be 30 minutes long and we will be recording it, so we'll be able to send the recording to you following the presentation, and it will be online in a few days. Later today, we will be sending you an email directly with the full findings and the full report. Please feel free to contact me directly, and I'll give you my details at the end of the webinar. And I'm looking forward to supporting you in the UK market. So Heike Owen's, we commissioned a report with Heike, and the main objective of the report was to be able to provide Irish enterprises with an overview of the UK pharma manufacturing sector, where we'd be able to provide such insights as the size of the sector, what are the opportunities and the hot topics, where are the regional clusters. And the presentation today by Heike will give you a summary of those findings.
Just to get moving, so if we look at the overview facts and figures to start with, just don't need the slides. Basic pharma sector generates a market value of 21 billion. This is based on 2018 figures. And it employs 63,000 people. It is a very important kind of manufacturing sector for the UK, and two of the world's top pharma companies are headquartered in the UK. You have GSK and AstraZeneca. Importantly, as it is a sector that is expected to grow, so by 2023 the market value is expected to have increased to 25 billion, which means an annual growth of 3.6%. Obviously, when talking about UK pharma sector, it's important to look at R&D as it's a critical part of the pharma sector's activity in the UK. The main challenges with pharma R&D are that the process is very lengthy and very expensive, and it can cost up to £1 billion to develop just a single drug. The pharma R&D accounts for 27% of all UK manufacturing R&D, and almost a third of the UK pharma employment focused on R&D activities. In addition to that, 40% of the UK pharma sector gross value add is based on R&D activity. So the main challenges with R&D in the pharma sector are that the process is lengthy, as I said, and so the priorities for companies are to kind of try and speed up this process, looking at changes to clinical trials, for example, also to protect their investment with solid IP and patents, and minimize the risk, and to ensure that once the drug is developed, and it will be accepted by the NHS. It's agreed that this is more likely if the drug is offering strong value proposition. And we're back up with the slides as well. Thank you, Lisa, for sorting that out. So pharma companies are more recognizing that they're more likely to succeed if they put the patient at the center of R&D. So it's called a patient-focused or patient-centric R&D. So moving on now to look at the UK market to start with. Demand and spend on pharma products are increasing due to illnesses relating to aging and kind of lifestyle illnesses. So you have treatment of diabetes, obesity, also certain cancers as well. The hospital spend is also on the increase, with more patients being admitted to hospital, and also that they're starting to use more and new expensive treatments. The US accounts for almost half of all pharma sales globally, so any changes in the US market will have an impact on the UK pharma sector. Much like the UK and the US also, there's rising sales of drugs for oncology, immunology, aging and quality of life treatments. There had been a bit of a slowdown in 2017 in sales to the US, but it's set to kind of stabilize again due to the introduction of new drugs, the weaker pound, and also the cutback of sales of generics. There are remaining uncertainties. One is the future of the Affordable Care Act, and also then the future US-UK trade deal post Brexit. There's some other kind of interesting emerging markets, namely China, India, and Brazil. They're all expected to increase their expenditure on pharma products as the populations there are becoming more wealthy. They can afford the treatments. Also, the governments have more funds available to improve the healthcare system in their countries. China, also there have been certain tariffs removed, so it's easier to get access to that market. So clearly there will be opportunities for Irish business to offer services to support UK pharma businesses in entering these emerging markets with advice on routes to market, laws and regulations, tariffs, and so on. Looking at some of the challenges that the UK pharma sector is facing, as indicated in 2017, there had been a slow in the turnover growth due to falling demand from the US. There's what is called the end of the blockbuster paradigm with the rise of generics, and the British Generics Association are claiming that their generics drugs can be up to 90% cheaper than a branded product. There is enormous price pressure. Because of Brexit, a number of large investments and capex projects have been put on hold because companies are waiting to see which way Brexit is going and what effect it will have on their UK operation. So clearly this has been a very challenging environment for companies who wish to kind of bid for business around capex projects in recent years. But looking at it more positively, there has to be a kind of a backlog that has to be dealt with once Brexit is sorted. So hopefully, you know, that there will be opportunities in the not too distant futures as these capex and kind of big investments are being made again. But much, of course, is dependent on the Brexit negotiations, and there are still a number of challenges and concerns around that and uncertainties on a number of areas. That's the access to skilled workforce, what additional costs will be involved, what will be the regulatory impact if the UK is no longer in the same framework, market access implications, IP protection, and so on. Again, here I'm just really listing the points. The report will have much more detailed information on each of them and providing more explanation. However, what is important to bear in mind is that as Euromonitor have identified, there is a risk that the pharmaceutical companies may choose to transfer part of their production activities from the UK into the EU. So that's a threat for the UK market, but potentially from an Irish perspective, also an opportunity to pick up some of the manufacturing here in Ireland and have it moved to Ireland. Looking at opportunities, going back now within the UK pharma sector. Again, more detailed information is available in the report, and I'm just highlighting a couple of developments and areas. One is everything around big data exploitation, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. and pharma companies looking for solutions and how best to use this technology in data management, clinical trials, and development of targeted treatment. And as this is not yet one of their core competencies, there's most definitely opportunity for Irish software businesses to offer a pharma sector data management solution. Other opportunities present themselves around increased automation and smart factory. And I think this should be looked at in combination with another manufacturing development. You could call it a kind of a changing manufacturing model. There are a number of factors that influence that. One, as I already mentioned, the end of the blockbuster paradigm, and with that kind of large scale production, moving more to smaller scale, more flexible batch production, the price pressures, and also increasing demands and complexity regarding manufacturing laws and regulations, which make it more and more difficult and expensive to maintain certification. So it's foreseeable that in future more and more production will actually, or manufacturing will be contracted out to CDMOs, and that they will become the kind of the manufacturing specialists with state-of-the-art manufacturing facilities, and it'll be them who will be investing in manufacturing plants and so on, and possibly the more traditional pharma companies focus more on R&D and marketing activities. It's also worth looking at some kind of key trends in the pharma sector. And this is all about building understanding of your customers and potential customers to see what's top of mind for them. Again, a lot more detail on that in the report, and I've just picked a couple of areas. One is the addressing the treatment needs of an aging population. By 2046, a quarter of the UK population will be 65 years or older, and so there'd be increased demand for treatment of age-related illnesses. You have Alzheimer's, cancers, cardiovascular, COPD, and kind of pain management. So if you go and look at pharma companies and their R&D activities, what clinical trials they're currently undertaking, very often it is in these areas. So you know that in a few years to come, these will be the new drugs they will be introducing to the market. Other big area, and I've touched on this already, is the personalized medicine. This is expected to improve efficacy. As a result, it's anticipated there will be a greater patient involvement in the R&D process and in clinical trials. So now let's look at the UK pharma companies in more detail, and starting with the pharmaceutical clusters. Obviously, pharma companies are located across the whole of the UK, but there are some definite geographical clusters. One, the kind of most established, oldest one, is the Golden Triangle of Oxford, Cambridge, and London. And here the focus is very much on R&D and scientific research, and kind of linking in with the academia and the universities, having university spin-outs and so on. So in Oxford, there's Milton Park, for example. Cambridge has AstraZeneca headquartered there, and in London you have MedCity and the GSK headquarter as well. Again, in the report, there'll be links to Milton Park, so you can see who else is located there, the types of companies, and so on. So if the south is all about R&D, then the north is all about the manufacturing of pharma products. And northwest alone, 43% of the UK pharma turnover is generated there. AstraZeneca, Eli Lilly, Novartis, they all have their manufacturing plants in the northwest, and there's two centres that are stand out specifically, that's Speak in Liverpool and Elderly Park in Macclesfield. Northeast, again, there's pharma manufacturing, plus also a centre for process engineering. Yorkshire and the Humber then have a cluster of medical device companies. So, and so it goes on. Again, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland, they each have their cluster of pharma companies. Now, UK pharmaceutical companies, there are a number of lists and different groupings included in the report. So hopefully, depending on what you're interested in, you'll find what you need and can access the information quite readily. So one is a list of UK pharma companies by region, and where it was possible by clicking on the name, you then get linked to the company websites. So that should be a quick and easy process. We have a list of the top 50 pharma companies from the Plimsoll database, and also a list of the UK contract manufacturers, and these are split between manufacturing and also packaging, or both. The members of the British Generic Manufacturing Association are also included. However, they tend to have kind of the London-based offices, and manufacturing really happens outside the UK for them. I provided more detail on the kind of top 10 pharma companies in terms of a company profile, which goes into a bit more detail about treatment areas, their UK operation, and so on. We've also created an interactive Google map of active pharmaceutical manufacturing sites, based on whether or not they have a valid GMP certification. So we've taken that as the proxy for an active manufacturing site. So again, in the report, you have a link, and I hope to make this work now. So if you click on it, you'll get onto Google Maps. It takes a little while to load up, and you see where all the manufacturing sites are located. And actually, you can kind of recognize where the clusters are from looking at that. So you could click on each of them, and it gives you the name and the address. Also, another option to access the information is by clicking here on the down arrow, and it has the list of all the sites. And if you click on any one of them, then it shows you on the map where they're located. So that's kind of another way of accessing the information. This is just the kind of a cut of the top 150 list. So see what you have there is the company name, also the sales figure, and I think perhaps even more interesting is the sales growth. So you can see where companies are making investments, where they're growing, and also obviously give you an indication of their size as well. So if we look at an example, AstraZeneca, this is kind of the wealth of information that will be available to you from the report. You have the profile, information about the headquarter, the size and type of the UK operation, the treatment areas where they're currently active, and also their R&D activity. Plus you get links to company videos. There's an example here on the top right. So you have information about the biomedical campus, where they're located, map of that, plus also identifying the manufacturing sites in the UK. So that's me. I'll just hand you over now to Laura.
Thank you, Heike. Thank you so much for your insights. It's really fascinating, I think, what clients will find of interest is the sheer amount of resources which you've made available through the report, a lot of which are too in-depth to be able to show in the webinar today. So for example, your interactive Google Maps, you've also got a full list of UK pharma companies by region, and you've got a list of UK contract manufacturers as well. And just so that everyone's aware, the report is interactive, so there will be links throughout the report that you can click on when it's in PDF format, and that will bring you through to different websites and through different links as well. So bringing you on to some of the Enterprise Ireland supports, which I just wanted to mention as well, and our website, which is globalambition.ie/evolve UK. All of our Enterprise Ireland clients have access to our Market Research Centre. You can contact the Market Research Centre by email, and you can also book a visit with them as well. The Market Research Centre is the largest repository of specialist online databases, and Enterprise Ireland staff and our clients can utilise all of the resources there to validate market opportunity, identify lead generation and competitor information. So just so you're aware, the Market Research Centre, there's also a number of short and long programmes available, which are supported by Enterprise Ireland, such as the Sales Pipeline Management, Excel at Market Intelligence programmes, and also our year-long programmes, such as the International Selling programme as well. Also, please be aware of our Prepare for Brexit website. There's fantastic support and advice available, so if you need to find out more about what your potential tariffs and customs may be, please visit the website. There's also training programs, customs insight courses, and other supports available online. So just like to say thank you very much for joining us today. There is a lot more information in the report. Today was just a summary. So please do email me. My contact details are on the screen now, laura.brocklebank@enterprise-ireland.com. And if you've got any specific questions about the UK pharma sector, please do feel free to contact me. And thank you very much for joining us today.